About 3 months before I was diagnosed, I was feeling quite tired all the time. I had a cold I couldn't shake off. I was feeling a bit dizzy and I had very cold feet, which is an odd one. The actual diagnosis itself, it was frightening, but by that point I'd already prepared myself for cancer of some sort. I was really lucky in that my consultant is a top expert on CML and he had a lot of options for me. He was very open about them. He explained that imatinib is the standard one, or nilotinib is another fairly standard but works a bit faster but has drawbacks. And then he offered me the chance to go on the B4 trial, which compares bosutinib and imatinib, and he explained that bosutinib has up till now only been used as second or third options for people when other ones have failed. And this trial is to see basically how it works as a first-line treatment, and he said that thus far, whilst there's not a huge amount of data, it seems to work very quickly. If the CDF stops the funding for bosutinib and others, some people will die basically if the main ones that are available don't work for them, which happens a lot. Either it doesn't work in the first place, or they develop intolerance, or they have such awful side effects that affect their lungs, their heart, their liver, and they just simply cannot stay on it. If bosutinib stops working for me, whilst we haven't discussed exactly what I'd go on to, because we'll deal with it if we come to it, I would first of all have to go on to either imatinib or nilotinib because they're the ones that are available. If they also don't work, which again does happen with quite a few people, then the other two options may not be available again because of the CDF cuts. I think the CDF cuts, I think mostly make me feel very sad when I think about the CDF cuts, because people, when they think of CML, those who've heard of it, including the people behind the legislation, assume that it's only older people who get it. They forget there's half of us are under 65, and I'd quite like to be around for another 50 years. And if we don't have these drugs, then we can't be. And the fact that it's based almost entirely on money, I think, how can you put a price on my life or those of so many others with CML? I think it's very unfair that people who happen to live in Scotland or Wales have access to different drugs to those of us living in England, just based on where you live. It's like a cancer lottery. If bosutinib failed me and I couldn't take imatinib and nilotinib for whatever medical reason, I would have to consider moving away from my home, moving to Scotland or Wales. The thought of having to uproot my life just so that I can move a few hundred miles away to get some drugs which I can't at home, it's just not fair. I can't help where I was born, where I live, and other people can't. And to base your treatment on what your postcode is disgusting.